Welcome to Pop Culture Roulette for all your pop culture needs. We're America's podcast. All right, welcome everybody. I decided I wanted to record a little episode about the future of Marvel. Obviously, Deadpool Wolverine just came out, so I thought, why involve the two people I normally do the podcast with? I'm going to bring in some other people for this one, and I'm going to bring in the 80s Christmas expert to talk about Marvel, Jerry D from Totally Rad Christmas.
Hey, how's it going?
And then I also figured, why not bring in one of the biggest Superman fans in the world to talk about Marvel, Laramie Wells of Moving Panels.
Hey, Superman was in this movie, so let's... Calvarine.
That is true.
That is true.
All right, so Jerry, I know you had said you hadn't, when we set this up, you hadn't seen it. Have you had a chance to go see Deadpool Wolverine yet?
Unfortunately, I haven't. My life was kind of turned upside down because my folks got COVID, and I ended up having to watch the kids on both days that I was planning to see it, both days that I had the opportunity. Yeah. But the internet being what it is, all the spoilers I've read.
Doesn't matter. Stop the podcast now. We'll wait. Go see it. I'm sure
it's no big deal.
There's a 9 o'clock show or something.
I'm comfortable talking about it. It's all good. So,
okay. Yeah. Well, I'm not really interested in reviewing Deadpool Wolverine. The last episode that I put out, me and Justin reviewed it. Mm-hmm. So that's not the ultimate what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the fallout of what Deadpool Wolverine has going forward, because I think Deadpool Wolverine kind of has the ability to do like what Civil War did, where even though it wasn't the Avengers movie where everybody was all together, it kind of altered what was happening going forward.
Right. And and that also, you can trace that back to Winter Soldier, where
even Winter Soldier, when Hydra became a thing, and all of a sudden, SHIELD wasn't necessarily the best people,
Right.
So I think basically what I want to start with is we've had the X-Men introduced, and ultimately, Jerry, why I wanted you here is because I know you're a kind of a X-Men expert.
Expert's a strong word, but I do love the X-Men. Yeah.
So we've had the word mutant used in Miss Marvel.
Yes.
Right.
We had a mutant in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Beast in the Marvels.
Right.
Yes.
So and then we also had
Kelsey Grammer's Beast. Let's be clear about that, because that's
part,
gonna
right?
that kind of ties into Deadpool and Wolverine a little bit.
Right. And we had Patrick Stewart as Professor X and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of
one of the Illuminati. Right. Mm-hmm.
So we've been introduced very slowly to the concept of the X-Men. This movie went hardcore into the word X-Men.
Right.
And really introduced us to one of the, he's not one of the original X-Men, but he is one of the biggest of all the X-Men.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly we aren't going to just introduce the X-Men by doing an X-Men movie. The schedule has been released for the next few years, and there still isn't I don't want to use the word solo, because clearly if you're doing an X-Men movie, there's a bunch
right,
of
it's
them.
a team.
But
standalone.
Standalone X-Men.
Okay, standalone.
Yeah.
There's not a standalone X-Men movie on the docket.
Yeah, but let's remember there were other movies on the docket just a year or two ago, and that has now all changed.
Right.
Yeah. I unfortunately the some of the stuff that happened with Jonathan Majors made them change the idea of the Kang dynasty.
I was looking forward to Kang. I'm not gonna lie.
I still think they could do it. I really do.
I do too. we have
hire
variants,
Terrence
right?
Howard. Bring Terrence Howard in. Let Terrence Howard play.
There's variants, like
right.
Come
well,
on, it's
and
okay.
One of the things that I wanted to talk about was variants.
Okay.
Because we've been introduced to the concept of variants, I think, kind of for the first time. Like, Loki brought us the idea of variants with both seasons of that. And they brought us the idea that variants don't have to be just Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah. Right. Well, and it makes sense, right? So, like, if every single decision you make, creates another universe, essentially, where, there's going to be some decisions ranging from way in the past that have altered history so much that you can have a universe where everybody's paint, like in Doctor Strange, but you're also going to have universes where Tom Hiddleston looks like is the President Loki, I mean, it's where it's almost Tom Hiddleston. There's a universe where today I had pizza for lunch instead of pizza.
Mm-hmm.
I went to McDonald's, and so now there's a whole universe created that way. So or
where Spider-Man looks like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
Right.
Exactly. So they don't have to look the same, which I do like, but like, I don't see why
the only problem. The only problem is Quantumania had that credit scene where there was a stadium filled with Jonathan Majors.
That's also true, but
also
I feel like we got like glimpses and close-ups of certain ones, but I think you could totally get away with
this random dude sitting over in the other corner.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and like you mentioned Rhodey, same thing, So, I mean, that's a perfect example of, it's okay if it's not the same guy.
Yeah.
And now that we get Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross, because William Hurt passed away, I mean, it's all right.
What? I thought he just shaved his mustache off. What are you talking about?
I don't think you can ever confuse William Hurt for Harrison Ford.
But they want us to. That was the whole point of that line.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is one of the weird things going forward of recasting is going to be, we were introduced to John Krasinski, Reed Richards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. But and then we just saw Chris Evans once again as Johnny Storm.
Johnny Storm, right.
Mm-hmm. So you could even, go back and do that. The big
I think the word to accept Multiverse of Madness is that those were variants.
Right.
Because I don't see Anson Elgor, however you pronounce his name, I don't see him coming back again as Black Bolt. Like, I think that was it for him. That was his kind of
Anson Mount, right?
Anson Mount, yeah, whatever his last name is.
I mean,
I don't see him coming back.
I think that was his serviceable. I thought out of all that Inhumans atrocity, I think he was probably the one that came off the best, but also
because he doesn't say anything.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, but yeah, I think at this point they're going to get like a bigger name for an actual Inhumans movie, which I just do hope they still do, honestly.
I mean, that's what I was initially kind of disappointed when John Krasinski doesn't get the chance to take over Reed Richards, because I thought that was perfect casting.
Yeah.
But I'm not mad about Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
I mean, I do really like him. So
that's right. Yeah. I mean, so I feel like it's okay that they could have gone with someone else, but at the same time, I'm a huge Doom fan. Doom is just amazing. So I'm cool with Doom taking center stage for a bit. When they announced Secret Wars, I was pretty sure they were going to do Hickman's run, Hickman's Secret Wars from 2015. But I still kind of hoped a little bit that we'd get some of the original Secret Wars. But the way Marvel works, the last 5-6 years seems like they prefer the modern stuff, and that's okay. I'm cool with that. The Silver Age guy in me is a little bummed, but it is what it is.
Well, I'm not convinced they're not going to use the Secret Wars as the ability to pull the X-Men into the Marvel universe. Because, I mean, obviously with Deadpool Wolverine, they're, the one Wolverine we've now kind of pulled in, all of that X-Men is dead. But that doesn't mean there's not another group of X-Men out there. Because originally I thought with the snap, it was going to awaken like the mutant gene.
Right.
That was how they were going to do it.
Right, kind of like in X-Men versus
I think we're
Avengers.
going to get, well, at the end of Doctor Strange Multiverse, you had the, so was it Celeste, the Charlize Theron character?
Cleo.
Clea, yeah.
Cleo, yeah. Cleo show up and talk about like kind of like a converging worlds thing, like the two worlds were fighting. So I'm thinking that's how Secret Wars is going to happen. Like there's still we might even still see some of the original version of it, just the bones in there.
Maybe Tom Holland will finally get the Venom suit.
To me, Venom is overrated. I'm not a Venom fan.
I'm looking forward to this third one, though. I ain't gonna lie.
A ton of there's a bunch of Spider-Man villains that I want to see before we get to Venom again. So, but I can see how a lot of fans are happy for that. So I'm not gonna.
I would just like to see Venom done right, because we haven't seen it done right yet. So.
Yeah. So again, put it on Tom Holland and let's start the MCU's version.
Well, yeah, we could. You never know. Yeah,
especially with this being the last dance, clearly they're ending the Tom Hardy trilogy. So, although, to date when we're recording here, now they released the trailer for Kraven.
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
Which was supposed to come out earlier this year or late last year?
Or last year,
I think last year.
Yeah,
that's when it was. Yeah,
and now they're. I feel like. I reviewed Madam Web to death a couple months ago.
Still haven't watched it.
And I know you, so I know you will. I
will. Yeah,
no amount of me telling you please don't is going to stop you.
If you haven't heard the "How Did This Get Made" version of it yet, you got to listen to that. It's hilarious.
No, I'll watch it, and then Nicholas and I will cover it on my podcast.
Yeah, there you go. Which will unfortunately force me to watch it again. But thankfully, Tim's doing Morbius, so I don't have to watch that abomination again.
There you go.
But like Sony seems to be making the Spider-Man movies just to try to keep Spider-Man villains out of the.
That's exactly
yeah.
But I think at some point Disney's just going to do what they did to Fox.
Just buy Sony.
Just buy.
Why not? I'm down for it.
Fox was just like, no, we're not going to sell you X-Men or these other things. We want to keep it ourselves. So Disney was just like, you know what? We'll just buy the whole company.
We don't want you.
Yeah, we don't want any of the rest of it, but we want that. So we'll just buy it all, and you can't stop us.
Right. And I'm excited to see the MCU's version of the X-Men. With what they've done with everybody else, because let's face it, besides like the Hulk and Spider-Man, for the general audience, most people didn't know any of the Marvel heroes, right? I feel like we had the Lou Ferrigno show, we had Spider-Man cartoons, so maybe some folks knew a little bit of like Iceman and Firestar and some of the guests there, but I feel like the general public didn't know them, and to see what they've built and how now the Avengers are almost as big, if not bigger, than the Justice League in most people's minds. I'm excited to see what they'll do with the X-Men, as long as they get it right. Because like nobody's gotten Cyclops right. They make him this one note character who's like barely there, and he's like a super complex dude. And I love Cyclops, and it's like, come on.
X-Men 97 got Cyclops.
That got him
good.
super right. Yeah. So like, just do that.
Yeah, X-Men 97 was the first time I wasn't like, I don't like Cyclops.
Man, yeah, that guy was, I love Cyclops.
But... I'm sorry, when he did the superhero landing, when he fell out with his laser, optic blast.
Yeah.
So
it was great.
I know that technically the animated stuff is in the MCU, but I don't think it's going to affect. I don't think it's going to be canon or affect the way. I know they did some of the what if stuff showed up in Multiverse of Madness.
A little bit.
But I don't know if any of the animated shows, like they're doing that Spider-Man animated show here pretty soon. I don't think it's going to affect. Like Agatha All the Way is coming out. By the time I actually released it, it will. Are they doing it weekly or are they dropping it all? I know Disney tends to do.
Disney usually does it.
Disney does it weekly.
Yeah, they'll do like 2 episodes first, right?
So by the time this episode gets actually released, there will have been a couple episodes of Agatha all along, out there, and I think that might give us an idea of what they're going to do with the magic, or where the magic is heading in the MCU. Because I don't know if it's gone. I mean, just because I don't even know if we're done with Scarlet Witch the way that people think we are.
I mean, I doubt it. I feel like this gives Elizabeth Olsen an out, so she can go do other projects, and then when they need her, bring her back for something else.
Right.
But also, really, it just sets up like Wiccan and
Speed,
just the Young Avengers. So
yeah, well, which is clearly where they're going.
Yeah. Well, we got that post credit scene with
the Marvels where
Haley Steinfeld,
Hawkeye,
Kate Bishop, approaches Miss Marvel. So
yeah. Well, I mean, they've been setting that up for a little while as well, and then the Thunderbolts movie that they've also been setting up. We're getting. I've not tried to look up the trailer that supposedly. Well, I know
I saw it. Yeah,
I know there was the one fan made trailer that everybody's like, but I'm like, well, I saw who posted it. I'm like, well, that's the fake one, but I didn't hunt down the supposed leaked one.
No, it was on comicbookmovie.com, so I caught it, but I think they've taken it down already or blocked it. They tend to do that. But
I saw the Daredevil Born Again trailer that somebody had filmed on their
I saw that one too. I'm jazzed about that one.
Yes,
I love Netflix's Daredevil is still my favorite MCU show. Loki's close up there. I like Loki, of course. I loved season 1 of Jessica Jones, and then it kind of started going a little downhill for me.
Yes,
but yeah, I mean, Daredevil's just like, amazing.
So with Daredevil Born Again, the Netflix stuff. I mean, obviously with She-Hulk, we had Charlie Cox as Daredevil, and then with Echo, we had Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. Is the Netflix stuff going to stay canon, or is it Elseworlds? I mean, to use a DC word.
No, this has DC.
Yeah. So my understanding is that it's like mostly canon.
Yeah.
They've said it's kind of canon, but
it's like they're picking and choosing.
Not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like, we'll say this is canon, but if we need to, like, if we do decide to bring in Iron Fist,
it might be someone else.
That may be, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just, we're in a universe where some of the stuff happened the same way. Right. And other things did not.
Right. Oh, which, by the way, it bugs the heck out of me that they're calling this Earth 616. Like this is not Earth 616. Like the comics, the mainstream comics is Earth 616. Like, come on, guys, you should.
Yeah, it needs their own designation.
Yeah, it used to be. If you looked it up on Marvel.com, it was Earth 199999. So,
yeah, because I when you started to say, I was wanting to say it was like Earth 20,000 or something, but I think that's what it was. Yeah, it was just shy of it.
But I mean, it is.
Well,
what
I think Multiverse of Madness was the first time that 616 was actually used in one of the movies or TV shows.
No, actually, in Thor, what's his name? Skarsgård was Dr. Selvig.
Yeah.
Selvig was actually talking about it when he's in like was it a crazy bit? I don't know. Wherever he is, he's like talking about.
Yeah, it's when he steals Stanley's shoe.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. I forgot about that. There's so many movies now that it's hard to keep everything straight. I know I've seen them all.
Right.
Well, so here's the thing. Do we now count the Fox movies when we say how many MCU movies there are?
See, that's a good question, because now they're technically part of the
they're kind of canon now. So
so yes and no, I think. I think if we follow this mainstream, what they call the sacred timeline, this official MCU, then I think you'd say no. But if you talk about it, the multiverse overall, you'd have to say yes, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of those interesting, like you said, they're doing with the Netflix show, they're kind of picking and choosing. I mean, I don't know if other than for cameo reasons, or like they did with No Way Home, just to have like Spider-Man meme pointing at each other, having Mahershala Ali and Wesley Snipes like look at each other, kind of thing. I don't know if they're going to bring back any of those characters, which is why with Robert Downey Jr.
Gambit.
Yes,
bring
please.
back Gambit. I want Channing Tatum's Gambit.
It was
I was never sold on the idea of Channing Tatum doing Gambit
until I saw it.
I never was either, but yeah, his Cajun accent. I mean,
now that I've
Deadpool
seen it,
says, "Who's your dialect coach?" I mean, yeah, but still, there's something like cool about it, right? That's good.
Yeah, I mean, and to finally get we've been getting some comic accurate costumes in the MCU, but to get like a comic accurate Gambit, a comic accurate Wolverine,
other than height.
Yeah, other than height, yeah. Except for the one.
Except for the one little shot, yeah.
So, I mean, with Robert Downey Jr., is this just a way to bring in a variant who doesn't know he's Tony Stark and eventually bring Tony Stark back into the MCU, or is he really going to be Doctor Doom?
No, this is just them trying to fix some of the perceived mistakes from the last couple of movies, I think.
Yeah.
Honestly. I don't know. I would be interesting. Stark has been Doom.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know they've played with that.
Doom has been Iron Man.
That too. Yeah.
I know they've played with that in a few storylines here and there, but that's why I'm curious to see because that is going to create problems. Mm-hmm. That's always been my argument with like the Flash, like having a Grant Gustin, having an Ezra Miller, having all at the same time confuses grandma, because when
the Flash television show did it though, because they had John Wesley Shipp.
John Wesley Shipp was in there.
Yeah.
He was Jay Garrick, but he was also Barry Allen. Yeah.
Yeah, that he was Barry Allen's dad. And then he's also
Jay Garrick.
He's Henry Allen.
Right.
He's also the Barry Allen from his television show when they did the multiverse. And he's Jay Garrick. So they had John Wesley Shipp playing different ones. Then you've got Brandon Routh playing both the Atom and Superman.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we got a cameo from Ezra Miller as well.
True. Which is where he learns he's called the Flash.
Right. So good.
So I mean,
it's terrible, but it's good.
Yeah, I mean, you can confuse the market, I think, and that concerns me. But at the same time, as a comic book fan, like I can learn to live with it really fast. I wonder for people like, well, my dad's probably not the best example because I think he's giving up on comic book movies, but
never.
Right. But I mean. When it comes to, I guess toys are probably not the best, because they'll just kids will buy anything. So
if it looks cool.
Wait, kids will buy it. Yep.
Well, I mean, I can see your room as long as it's Superman branded, you'll buy it. But I'm,
put an S on it and I'll buy it. They come out with a Calvarine figure, I'll buy it and put it in this room. I ain't kidding.
Calvarine, that's so good. They're going to have one, right? I mean,
you can only hope.
They have to.
So do they? Because they've already said that it's going to be Galactus, Silver Surfer, in the Fantastic Four.
Yes.
Do they introduce Doom in this one?
They might mention him. I don't know. I mean,
or is this going to be where they don't know Doom? And then I'm still questioning how they're going to because this is going to be set in the 60s. So how are they going to get them to modern time? And we got to do some time travel, which I'm not ever a fan of. So,
that's why I'm thinking, because we've now introduced fully the idea of the multiverse, that this version of the Fantastic Four is going to be from the 60s, but from an alternate universe,
a different universe. And then
they would almost have to be for there to be no mention.
Well, Doctor Strange does mention him. Remember when he sees Reed in Multiverse of Madness? He sees Reed and he says, it's some throwaway line where he's like, "Oh, I recognize you from like the show," or so. He says something like that. So,
he did, didn't he?
Yeah,
he did say something.
Yeah, I don't recall the exact words, but so I feel like they kind of exist, and.
Well, because as much as I loved Captain Marvel, I always thought that was kind of a problematic storyline, that like you had a character who was as powerful as Captain Marvel, who existed in the world before Iron Man and all those other ones, that nobody talked about.
Yeah, man, that's my same thing about with the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Which is why I think like bringing the Fantastic Four in from an alternate universe or bringing it, because that's always been my issue with the X-Men. Like if now that Fox is owned by Disney, like you can bring in the X-Men, but now you're supposed to have me believe that Wolverine or Cyclops or Jean Grey or Professor X or any of them, when Thanos showed up, we're good. We're just gonna hang out over here.
Well, it's the same thing with that they did with the Eternals, right?
Yeah, but at least with the Eternals, they gave you. I mean, it was a stupid reason, but I mean, at least they had a reason.
Stupid reason. Like, come on.
I mean, at least they established a reasoning for them not doing it. But I refuse to believe that in a team of potentially hundreds, like none of the X-Men were like, I'm breaking ranks and I'm going, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So that's why I've always felt like you almost have to bring in that entire roster from an alternate universe, where I think that's where Secret Wars is going to
right. Which is
bring in some of the, because I mean, if you look at the original, I mean, not the 2015, but the original 84, 85.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That era where they did have the three teams, the heroes, the villains, and the X-Men, like
right.
And so
I mean, it could be so, like, in Hickman in the 2015, right, he created Battle World, so he took fragments of like all these different universes, Earths, and merged them into like the Battle World, which was just one big Earth where he ruled as like God Emperor essentially. So I think you could still do it, and maybe Doom will be the impetus, not the Beyonder this time, but you might still have, like you're saying, the event, the good guys, the bad guys, plus X-Men from somewhere else. I think they could merge the two concepts into one.
So here's my question though.
Mm-hmm.
The X-Men from where? Because who
knows?
Because this Wolverine, even though it's played by Hugh Jackman, and the Beast we've gotten, even though played by Kelsey Grammer, are not even, the two of them are not even from the same universe.
right, exactly. So I don't know. I mean, I wish I had an answer. I don't know, but it's probably just a different universe, I think.
Yeah, in spoiling this Deadpool movie even more for Jerry, the new Logan, the new Wolverine is from a universe where all the X-Men but him are dead.
Right.
Yeah. They revealed that in the trailer. That's not
okay.
Anything.
Yeah, okay. Not spoiling it all. Yeah.
So the Deadpool and now the new Logan are not, I don't think, unless I read it wrong, they're not in the same timeline as the Avengers. Like, they made Deadpool aware of the other timeline.
Yes,
right.
But they're back. That's correct. They're technically still in the Fox universe.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could, even if you go into the world, whatever weird nexus they were in that Cassandra Nova was in charge
the Void.
of.
Yeah, the
Void.
Mm-hmm.
If if you wanted to start bringing back old X-Men actors who at this point are too old to play the characters, but, some
90 years.
Well, I mean, other than Hugh Jackman, who has no choice, but everyone else.
They're going to have Hugh Jackman play him for 90. No, Hugh Jackman just got upset because I think when Patrick Stewart showed up in Multiverse of Madness, it technically broke Hugh Jackman's record.
Oh, okay.
In terms of actual timeline.
Right. Playing the same character, right?
of actual length of time, not actually movie appearances. And so Hugh Jackman just had to come back to get that record back.
He's like, come on, that was my record.
Because I mean, even though Patrick Stewart died, you do have the option of going, well, here's the same one from a different universe and bring him back again. I mean,
yeah,
right. I mean, I really hope that they recast everybody. I want to see all new people. I do.
Feige, though, has said that he has no plans to recast Wolverine.
I know, but I want to see. I want to see someone else.
Have
Hugh
either
Jackman
of you
never really sat right with me?
Have either of you ever
not because
watched,
he didn't play him well. I like the way he played him. I just like he's 6'3". He's like come on.
Have either of you ever watched Letterkenny?
Yes. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Jared Kesso, I think, would be a perfect Wolverine.
He's people have been fan casting his Wolverine for a while. Yeah.
I mean, there's even been
he's
talk
still
of
tall, but
there was even talk of Elijah Wood playing
Daniel Radcliffe too.
Yeah,
when I first heard the Daniel Radcliffe thing, I was like, I'm not on board with this. But the longer I sat with it, the more I'm like,
have you seen
Right?
some of the like?
It kind
Have
of
you seen
makes
some of the
sense.
like AI pictures of him
Yeah.
as Wolverine?
yeah.
I'm
mean,
into it.
And he totally sold himself out to do Weird Al. I could see him doing it for Wolverine.
Dude, that Weird Al movie is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
It's perfect.
Leave it to Weird Al to make a parody of a biopic. Yeah,
I know, it's so perfect. It's just genius.
We should have seen.
But
it
I'd buy it. I'd buy him as.
Yeah,
I
mean, you do have the option to recast anybody, or go alternate dimension and bring anybody back. I mean, you can even pick and choose the X-Men across the different universes and force them all into a team together. And then you can have hilarious hijinks of like, I know Cyclops, but you're not my Cyclops. And
yeah. Well, that's what happened with, the Squadron Supreme. So after Secret Wars, a bunch of the members of the Squadron Supreme from different universes got together in the mainstream Marvel Comics universe, and they formed their own Squadron Supreme. So I could see that kind of happening as well for the X-Men. It's like like you said, a Cyclops from here. You're not my Jean Grey, and just lots of different things.
Now
like
they did.
I have a question though.
Yeah,
because I'm sitting here thinking through the 2000 X-Men. I'm thinking through the First Class X-Men, and I'm going to be perfectly honest. Other than Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and honestly, Kelsey Grammer as Beast, and I know both of those gentlemen are getting very up in age.
Right.
And then, of course, Patrick Stewart. Who else do you want to come
Nobody.
back?
I'm good with completely, yeah, because those are the three, right? I mean, Ian McKellen would be great, but also he's like you said,
Michael Fassbender wouldn't be bad either. I wouldn't mind Michael Fassbender. I'd take Fassbender.
Yeah, I would too.
I mean, I like Patrick Stewart as Professor X, but at this point, I just, I want to see.
No, he's too old. Yeah.
He's too old.
Yeah. And
I was honestly game for Carlos.
Same with Ian McKellen. I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Fassbender, maybe, some of the guys from the First Class, but the Dark Phoenix was so bad.
Yeah, I don't want anybody from First Class.
I don't know if I really want anybody.
I don't either. I'm good.
I would honestly be fine with them recasting.
Oh, wait, scratch that. Quicksilver. I want the First Class version of Quicksilver.
Evan Peters?
Oh, Evan Peters.
Yes, I want Evan Peters back.
You did. You had him in
no.
I didn't like his Quicksilver. I liked the way they portrayed his powers. That was amazing. Yeah. I didn't like his Quicksilver though.
I would just like to see a Quicksilver and a Scarlet Witch acknowledged as children of Magneto,
and not just tongue in cheek. Just the little maybe that they did in what was it, Apocalypse or
Apocalypse? I think. Yeah. Yeah.
My mom knew a guy with magnet powers.
Right. It's like, okay. No, I felt like as terrible as his accent was, I liked Aaron Taylor Johnson's portrayal of Quicksilver. Like that was more comic accurate. But the way they made his powers look on screen, all his action scenes were just they were terrible compared to Evan Peters' version. So
and he was he was so big, like just like not
bulky,
really
yeah,
muscular compared to what I thought Quicksilver should be.
Yeah,
I'm really gonna have to fix my
internet.
I
could see that.
I don't know what's.
Yeah,
Jerry and I keep pausing every time you freeze.
I know. Yeah, just help you edit.
Yeah, I don't.
But I mean, I liked the attitude and the characterization of it more than I liked the like goofy, I don't know, spastic.
Yeah, but look what they did
Evan
with
Peters.
Scarlet Witch. She slowly got rid of the accent,
right? Well, hers was terrible too. So that was a win for me. That's like Halle Berry's Storm, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be just as fine with never seeing Halle Berry back as Storm.
Oh yeah.
When they were talking about making it, when James Cameron was thinking about making X-Men, for in the 80s, I wanted Angela Bassett
It was
so
Angela
bad.
Bassett, yes.
She was
Absolutely.
my pick as Storm. I was like, she is Storm. And then of course they started talking about Spider-Man, and then he went on to that, and then nothing ever happened. So
Having read a pretty detailed breakdown of what James Cameron's Spider-Man was going to be,
yeah.
we dodged a pretty big bullet on that one. But having Gambit show up in Deadpool Wolverine,
yeah,
doesn't mean we can't still get something from it.
right. Well, Channing Tatum, like you said, famously in line to play Gambit for years. His movie was like years and years in production and falling through and then being greenlit and whatever. But it's kind of the same thing with John Krasinski. Everybody was fan casting him for years, and then now we're getting Pedro Pascal. So I feel like we got our Channing Tatum Gambit. So if they pick someone else for it, like, I won't be super upset, because I really like his
Depends on who they pick.
Well, that's also true.
Because I'm gonna be perfectly. I know you haven't seen the movie, Jerry. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. As soon as that card came into shot in Deadpool and Wolverine, I really thought we were about to see Taylor Kitsch.
Oh wow, really?
I did too,
Yeah.
because right before that, you had Wesley Snipes walk in.
Yep.
And then you had Jennifer.
Elektra walks in. No, Elektra walks in first.
Okay, you had Jennifer Garner and then Wesley Snipes. And so you're like, okay, well, clearly this is going to be Taylor Kitsch, and then Channing Tatum.
And then you see the card. The card flies in.
Or Taylor
Kitsch
it's
Gambit.
Catch a break.
You know it's Gambit. And yes, I was thinking, I didn't think they'd bring somebody. I didn't think they'd bring Channing Tatum in. So I was expecting the Fox version of Gambit, which is Taylor Kitsch. So
yeah.
I was ready for John Carter to walk through that door.
This dude, he's just
Taylor's sitting by the phone going, why didn't they call me? There's a reason. I mean, I honestly thought we'd never see the day when Jennifer Garner would put the Elektra suit back on, because Laramie and I did that episode on that movie,
and you're a fan.
I am a fan, so I was.
Wow, I don't think I've ever met anyone who's a fan.
Well, I'm not okay. I mean, I'm a fan of Jennifer Garner as
Elektra.
As Elektra.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, we talked about how much she ended up like really hating that movie and her time on it. So the fact that Ryan Reynolds was able to talk her into doing it one more time, a testament to him.
And I've seen on her social media, she's now released videos of her training.
Right, the workouts and everything.
Yeah, the fact that she can still do that with those size is just amazing.
Oh, it's cool.
And you got to love the dig at Ben Affleck in the movie as well. Yeah, Daredevil died.
Well, and that kind of lets us know that Ben Affleck will probably never be back as a variant of Deadpool. I mean, not Deadpool, Daredevil.
Daredevil?
No.
I think that's okay, though.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of Matt Murdock. Although the director's cut is better.
Yeah, I was about to say, I have very adamantly on my show talked about how much I actually am a fan of the Ben Affleck Daredevil, but mostly the director's cut.
Yeah, for me, it's only the director's cut. The other one's almost unwatchable, but...
Well, the other for me is more of a, just because Daredevil was my first comic book, and so I think I just have that connection.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
Connection to it. But I think Ben Affleck, though, I think the same way Ryan Reynolds was able to do Deadpool, and so let's forget about Green Lantern. I think Ben Affleck did the same thing with Batman.
Right.
Like, he's now, okay, if I'm going to be remembered as a superhero, it's now going to be Batman, and people will forget about Daredevil.
Right.
No, he won't.
Well,
I won't.
General public probably will, but we won't. Yeah, we're a little bit different.
That's true. I mean,
no, I do agree though. I think if you were to say Ben Affleck superhero, most people off the top of their head would say Batman. Which that warehouse scene is still one of the best Batman action scenes I think we've ever seen. But I mean, I wasn't a great fan of his Batman, but that's all. It's not really because of him. It's more like my issue.
Writing.
It's my problem. Like every time I see Ben Affleck, he's one of those actors, and that just no matter where I see him, and it's like, oh, there's Ben Affleck. Like somehow
you just see him as Ben Affleck.
I just see him as Like I don't see his character. I just see Ben Affleck. So it was like, oh, Ben Affleck's talking with Clark Kent. That's cool, And Julia Roberts is another one. No matter what role she's in, I
Honestly,
always see Julia Roberts.
honestly, I think maybe with the exception of Don Cheadle, I think the entire cast of Ocean's 11 is that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think you're right. It's like, oh, there's
Yeah.
George Clooney.
Oh,
What
that's
Yeah,
are
Matt
you doing in
Damon.
space?
Oh,
You're not
yeah.
a, yeah.
Oh, that's Brad Pitt.
That didn't take away from Ocean's 11 being a pretty cool movie.
No,
but,
no,
Oh,
no.
no. Yeah,
no.
it's still a great movie. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I would agree. That would, yeah. I mean, that is the thing. Yeah, that's oh,
Yeah.
look, that's Brad Pitt. Okay, but Brad Pitt is now in Bullet Train. Okay,
Yeah.
now we're in this
Yeah.
world.
Still Brad Pitt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what I like about Pedro Pascal is that I know it's him, but I actually can become like I see him become the character
As the character.
right? Rather than just Pedro Pascal protecting another child somewhere. But
He does seem to do that a lot.
he
Yeah.
does, yeah. Hey, you stay in your lane, right?
Well, that and fanboying to Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, that's true. That's
I
true.
mean, but
Which-
so do I.
which man-
So does this podcast. So
Who else wanted Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider? to
Oh
pop up?
man, I'm surprised they haven't.
You know he would have done it. He
Yeah.
would have done it in a heartbeat.
yeah, well, mainly because he doesn't know how to say no. But
That's probably true. And I know like people have been fan casting Norman Reedus for years as well as
Yeah.
Johnny Blaze, and I'm okay with that. But also, I something about Nicolas Cage's version that listens to the Carpenters and watches like monkey shows. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eats
I think
jelly beans out
It's
of
jelly-
martini glass.
That's right. It's
I think I'm coming around to Laramie's point of view when it comes to a big name character casting a relative unknown.
yeah.
Yep.
That
Yeah.
usually is the best. Yeah.
What movie did I just see? Twisters. And I saw David Cornsweet for the first time, or Cornsweet, however you pronounce that guy's name.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure
The
I'm
new
sure-
Superman. Yeah.
I'm sure we'll learn it soon enough. I saw him and I was like, that guy kind of looks like Henry Cavill. Oh, I get it now. As soon as I saw the name in the credits, I'm like, oh, I get why they cast him. Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Because at first I thought, man, that guy's kind of small to be
Yeah.
Superman. But now I saw it. I'm like, no, I mean,
Right.
there's no bad guy in Twisters unless you count a tornado as
The
a bad
tornado.
guy. But I mean, he's not necessarily like the hero of the film either. But but like physically, I'm like, okay, I see it now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with Brandon Routh getting cast because he resembled Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
I never
Brandon
really
Routh-
thought he did, but
He
Brandon
does.
Ralph didn't get a fair shot. I
No.
thought.
no. Well, that
I-
script was
yeah.
terrible. Also,
Yeah, I've been on record as saying that too. He was not a bad Superman. That's just
No.
a bad movie.
yeah, agreed.
Kate Bosworth was a bad Lois
she
Lane.
was awful as Lois.
Kevin Spacey was a bad Lex Luthor.
I actually thought he did a great job at playing Gene Hackman playing
True.
Lex Luthor.
True.
Like
Yes.
he was not a good Lex Luthor, but he was a good Gene Hackman.
Yes.
it's like, it's a little counterintuitive, but it's true.
Yeah.
I
But for-
still want to see the Lex Luthor, post-crisis Lex Luthor that I feel like we haven't gotten a good representation. Although I did like John Shea. It wasn't super comic accurate, but I liked his
No.
ruthlessness. I thought he did have a ruthlessness that I enjoyed.
Michael Rosenbaum, I think, has been the best Lex Luthor live action, in my opinion.
I never got to see Smallville. I've seen pieces of Smallville. I never got to see the whole thing. Mostly because we just didn't have the channel. When I was at college, so I just never really got to see it.
One of these
Unfortunately.
days, I'm going to win the lottery, and I'm going to have a lot more free time.
Right. Binge a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
Smallville, and what was the other one that the Supernatural?
Supernatural.
No,
Yeah.
that's
Supernatural,
another one.
yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, coming back to what you're talking about, I think you can bring back a few characters and the rest just recast them all. Just, let's get new blood in here, new takes on it. Let them read the comics, so that they can be familiar with the characters. I'm talking about you, Bryan Singer, but
I don't think Bryan Singer.
Yeah, Bryan Singer ain't coming back.
Yeah, Bryan Singer. I'm not even sure they're going to let him do like a studio tour if he paid his own ticket.
No, yeah,
it's probably
Bryan
true.
Singer is on a list somewhere.
Yeah. Probably that's probably true.
He even gets within the same area code of Disney World, and there's going to be some special Disney cop showing up, going get.
But like,
get.
how do you?
Actually, I'm pretty sure
Brian
list. I'm pretty sure Bryan Singer is on a list.
Probably.
Well,
yeah, probably.
It has to.
I mean, personally, when it comes to X-Men, other than maybe Hugh Jackman, and I mean, at some point, even though the joke notwithstanding, he needs to be recast. I'd like to see maybe with Secret Wars, or if that, I mean, because I assume that's the way we're getting introduced to a full X-Men. I'd kind of like just to see a whole new generation of actors, I don't like, as much as I love Patrick Stewart and some of those other ones, I'd rather just see a whole new cast.
Yeah. I agree.
I'm not against it. I'm not against it.
We're bringing back the Netflix guys, so I don't know what they're doing with Iron Fist. I know Laramie has always hated that guy as Iron Fist.
Finn, right?
Yeah, Finn Jones. I didn't hate it. I mean, it could have been better, but I don't necessarily know if it was Finn.
So I liked him in season 2.
Fault.
No, and I agree. I did like him in season 2, like the little cameo he had for that one episode of season 2 of Luke Cage.
Luke Cage.
Yeah. Like that. I mean, that was like
if
a pretty good
they
Danny
had,
Rand. I was like,
yeah,
I'm into this.
If they had gone full Heroes for Hire, I'd probably had come around.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is like
I didn't like dark brooding Danny Rand.
Well, yeah, he's not like that. But also, like, they grounded it too much. Like, just why didn't they show us Kunlun? Like, why didn't they give us any of the things that make Iron Fist cool? You know,
I think that Netflix was kind of suffering from a little bit of the Zack Snyder itis of we have to ground everything. Everything has to be dark and brooding and gritty.
It was Christopher Nolan at that time, right?
Well, as well. I mean, Nolan and Snyder both were kind of around the same time of maybe I think Nolan was first, but
yeah, but because Daredevil's perfect for that, and Jessica Jones has like a darker world.
Fantastical villains. I want,
but especially
I want like with Batman. I know they've never done it, but I want to see a Batman where he fights a stupid villain like Clayface or Killer Croc or
Condiment King.
That's a stupid villain. Yeah. No, but I agree. And if you were going to do that, like they could have used the Brubaker fraction run of Iron Fist, the Immortal Iron Fist. It's like one of the greatest series. I love that run. It's fantastic. They introduced so many other mythologies, like the 7 Cities of Heaven, the tournaments that they have. I mean, they had like a fantastic template, and they used none of it. And instead, we got mostly like a business drama, and Iron Fist just so happened to be in it. And
I think some of the movies have kind of proven that people are into the fantastical stuff,
right? As long as you do it right.
Yeah,
it works. But
Shang-Chi, I mean, went full fantastic with the weird weird creature and the big dragon fight at the end. And like, I know some people whined about it, but I was totally into it. I thought the whole movie, I thought Shang-Chi was amazing.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. But,
so are there any characters that haven't made it in yet that have either been in the past or that you're still waiting? Like, obviously we haven't had Doctor Doom
right
since the Jessica Alba movies, and we're finally going to get maybe a good Doctor Doom. I refuse to talk about
okay, I was about to bring that up.
I refuse to talk about that Fantastic Four.
Fan Four Stick.
Regardless of what the bracket that appeared on Laramie's episode turned out to be, that to me is the worst comic book adaptation movie ever made.
Or Josh Trank.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, he's the one who ultimately made the decisions to make it as bad as they were.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible. Yeah.
I mean, you can't blame Fox on that one. You can blame Fox for a lot of other stuff, but you can't blame Fox for Josh Trank making some of the decisions that he made. But
There's a good 45 minutes though in that movie. I will still defend the first 45 minutes of that movie.
That's fair.
I think having, okay, maybe not the interdimensional stuff that gives them their powers. That was still a little bad, but making them like becoming weapons for the military, like they had something going and then they ruined it.
Well, yeah. That seems to happen.
Yeah.
And I do wonder with Fantastic Four, especially with the various different variants, and we've already played with the Ultimate Universe, if the bad guy not Doctor Doom, the bad guy Reed Richards doesn't show up at some
the
point.
Maker, maybe.
The Maker, like the one who's the brings down the
right.
Well, at least the version of the Ultimate Universe I read, I stopped reading when that was all over, and then they rebooted it in the last year or two, and I just haven't gone back to reading it. But because you do have that option. You could bring in Alex Hyde White and have a council of Reeds. Now you have
that's true.
You have a whole bunch of Reeds now.
Bring back John Krasinski and
Ian. What's his name?
Ian Gruffold.
Yeah, I've never been able to pronounce it, but
yeah, something like that.
Has there been a character, or is there a character that hasn't made it into any version of the small screen, the big screen, the past movies that we're like, why haven't we done this one yet?
Why haven't we seen this character at all?
Yes.
Could you say Galactus? Like, is that fair to say? Because you didn't see him.
Yeah, he was just a cloud. Yeah.
I think they've hit like the main villains. Because I know there are talks about Thor 5. I don't know if we're actually going to do it. I would have liked to see Balder the Brave. I'm surprised we hadn't seen Balder before.
Or Beta Ray Bill.
Or that's another one. Or the Magog. I thought that would have been cool.
Me, I'd love to see them do Hyperion.
Yeah, the Squadron Supreme is one that, and if they did it right, it'd kind of be like a small little, stick it to DC moment.
Yeah, and that's what,
And they're doing it now.
Sentry.
Sentry is who I was going to say. But they're doing it now in Thunderbolts.
So you said you saw the Thunderbolts leaked stuff.
Right.
I heard the Sentry was seen in it. Is that
I didn't see the actual Sentry. The guy, like the actor that plays him when he's Bob Roberts, right? Robert something. I don't remember the Sentry's full name.
Oh, Sentry. Yeah, Robert Reynolds.
Reynolds, that's what it was. Yeah, when he's Bob Reynolds, he comes out in that.
Okay, so, but not as the Sentry, not yet anyway.
I didn't see it.
Okay.
I was also watching it at work, so I didn't really it wasn't like 100%. I was
paying attention because you're trying to make sure you don't get caught.
Exactly. I was trying to side eye it, but Bob Reynolds does come out.
Okay.
So,
all right.
I'm super excited to see the Sentry. I really wanted to see him rip Ares in half. So, that would be pretty cool to see. So Ares, I'd love to see Ares, but I'd also...
you want to talk about confusing just the regular audience.
That's right. Exactly. That's why I was like, but it might, I was going to say
the fact that Ares is both a DC and Marvel character.
Well, a lot of those Greek and Roman gods.
Right. Hercules.
Because Thor Love and Thunder did leave us with Hercules.
Yeah.
Right.
But Hercules is, I don't know. We're comic book guys. I was about to say Hercules, I think, does tend, I think, more of Marvel. I don't think of DC because he's never really been a main DC.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Figure. He gets mentioned because of Shazam and Wonder Woman, but he's never really. Yeah.
You can't do this character unless I'm thinking of him completely wrong, but Annihilus.
Oh, that'd be cool. But
until you bring in the X-Men, I don't know how you do Annihilus.
Well, I could see he's been like a cosmic threat. There was a whole annihilation wave, so he would have worked perfect, I think, as well, just like with the Guardians of the Galaxy. But that and now that we're getting a Fantastic Four, I think he can really fit in as well. That's a good choice. Yeah,
I was reading that Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's the animated stuff, and we were saying like it is MCU, but it's not necessarily canon. But the Beyonder, voiced by Lawrence Fishburne, was a character in that.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
I haven't watched that.
That's
that
like one
yet.
of the only things that I have.
I've heard it's really good though.
Yeah, me too. I haven't gotten a chance.
So I don't know, like, I mean, because if you do a full CGI character, you could still have Lawrence Fishburne voicing the Beyonder.
Right.
You know?
So I do have a question. Are they setting up the incursions plot? Like, are we going to see the incursions, in the whole lead up to Infinity? Because I would like to see that, where like essentially the Beyonders as a race created like what was like a universal bomb in Molecule Man.
Molecule Man,
and so it was Molecule Man in every single universe that would kind of cause the destruction of it. And it gets really complicated, but essentially Doctor Doom takes with Molecule Man's help, he kind of steals the Beyonder's power and then is able to stop these incursions that are happening, because as these worlds collide with the deaths of these Molecule Men, then Earths start merging and causes the destruction of an entire universe. So there's
that's what Clea says at the end of Multiverse of Madness, is you've started an incursion.
It does sure sound like that's what they're working on, whether they do it exactly that way or not.
Technically, that universe that they go to with that not zombie Strange, but that evil Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I guess technically that was a result of an incursion. So,
yeah. And then Kang said it in Quantumania. When he's talking to Janet. Yeah, when he's talking to Janet, he says something about there being, like, in the multiverse, there being so he said something about incursions. I can't remember.
Now, when it comes to because my thing has been because a lot of people have complained that like Phase 4 has just been all over the place.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
and my thing is that I think it's intentionally been all over the place because they're trying to misdirect us to what they're actually aiming towards. And once we finally see it, there's going to be a lot of dots that get connected.
But do they still know, with the fact that they've had to completely change gears from Kang to Doom?
Right.
I don't. Maybe they're going to have to redo it, and maybe leaving it open left them with the ability to change it on the fly and not be forced to stick with somebody they didn't want to have or to recast. I feel like now that we are talking about the Council of Kangs, didn't one of them say there was somebody like a Kang that was even more powerful?
But was the He Who Remains.
He's
said
the one
it at the end of Loki, but he was talking about Kang the Conqueror.
Right. The Conqueror, the one that we saw in
Quantumania.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's who he was talking about.
All right, so you don't have the option of being like, and we really meant it was this guy the whole time.
Well, I mean, we still do.
They can.
Yeah. The one in Quantumania could have just been a lesser Conqueror.
King the Conqueror.
Yeah, exactly. Not the, right.
Not the King. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to see more of the incursions. I'd like to see them try to stop it. And it's a weird thing to introduce, but like in that whole run of Infinity with Ex Nihilo and what was her name, like Abyss, I think. But like that whole thing was super cool. How they were used, basically they would create life on new planets, and they were sent to on this mission. And anyway, I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but it was a cool setup that I would like to see done to kind of help bridge this gap. But at the same time, I don't think we need it. I think they can streamline it. But I would like to see Ex Nihilo. I think he'd be cool.
I want to see Sinister.
Yeah, we haven't seen a full Sinister.
We haven't really gotten,
just name drops here and there.
Oh yeah, that still ticks me off. The Essex, briefcase that we never. You talk about payoffs that we never got. I'm still look. The MCU still got the freaking. Oh, my mind just went blank because I almost said Darksaber. But we got the Dark Knight. And
the Ebony Blade.
The Ebony Blade.
Mm-hmm.
And then Marshall Ali's voice in the background.
Right.
And
Yeah, and I was just reading today that I mean they're still planning on that movie supposed to be coming out the end of next year, but they haven't even
Right.
started. They haven't even started filming yet.
No,
So
Well, and apparently
which
he was
was the
unhappy with the
joke.
script. Right.
That was the joke in Deadpool and Wolverine
right,
when he talks about there's only been one blade, and then Deadpool kind of looks at the camera like, and there might only ever be one blade if y'all don't get your act together.
Oh
I
man.
mean, I know a lot of people are saying like, "Well, just let Wesley Snipes have it back," and I'm like,
He's getting kind of old. I mean,
yeah,
He looked good though in this movie, but as a small part. Like I couldn't see him carrying an entire movie.
yeah.
yeah. Well, I don't think he has quite the ego that he did on Blade 3, where he wouldn't even talk to some of the actors and just
Oh, they
stay in
reference
his
that
trailer.
They reference that
amazing.
too.
That's amazing.
Deadpool talks about how I think I can't remember the exact line, but Blade says something like, "I don't like you," and Deadpool says, "You never did." Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there were a lot of really good meta jokes and things I had to explain when the movie was over to the wife. Yeah, and then she was like, "Oh, okay. I still don't. Now that you've explained it to me, I still don't know why you thought it was so funny."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, my wife's
because
a
you
lot like
married
that.
a nerd. That's why.
Yeah. They know what they got themselves into.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but
But
no, I can't really think. I mean, I asked that question, but I'm thinking about it myself.
I know.
I got my Moon Knight. I
Same. I was
wanted
super excited for that one.
I wanted more.
Yeah.
I you know
It
I
wasn't
was
quite the
it's just
direction I was
that
hoping for, but it was still good. I
yeah.
enjoyed it.
yeah
Again, talking about setups, and then I need to see more. I need to see more Man Thing. I need to see more
Yeah.
Ted. I
Yeah.
need to see
yeah
Ted. Where
yeah
what's happening there? I need more of my Jack Russell and Ted.
Yeah. That was a surprisingly fun interaction there.
Yeah.
yeah. That would be and who knows what they're gonna do with Agatha all along because that character. I mean, I know Agatha Harkness is one of those like sometimes she's a really major character, other times she's really like inconsequential, but
Yeah.
I don't how she got her own series
She's
is
the
beyond
grainy
me.
goodness of Marvel.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I I agree. I'm glad we're getting it, but also like I wasn't asking for it. I would have rather they spent the money
You
on
mean like a Madam
other
Web
things.
movie?
Yeah, exactly like a Madam Web.
Who went, I want a Madam Web movie?
I don't know.
You
So
know,
many good
I
Spider-Man
watched the
villains.
cartoon back in the 90s. I want a movie about just an old woman sitting in a chair. That's what I want.
I as much as I love Willem Dafoe's Norman Osborn, I'd like to see the MCU's version of Norman Osborn. And I know they said they don't like have one in that universe, but like I'd really like to
there.
see the official like Earth whatever Earth it is, Norman Osborn.
Oh, there will be. There's no way we don't get one eventually. I mean,
Maybe.
well, I mean, as long as we're
Just
forcing Tom Holland
Look.
to run around, but
Yeah. I mean, we're about, based off of the Craven trailer, we're about to get another Rhino.
ooh, let's not talk about that.
Now, I had read after the disaster that Madam Web was. Obviously, Venom 3 and Craven were already actively being filmed at the time.
Right.
That basically Madam Web was such a disaster and so bad, ratings wise as well as financially, that Sony finally was like, "We're done with the Spider-Man universe."
I doubt it. I think
Yeah.
that's a cash cow they could milk forever.
Because look, you still got people like us that it doesn't matter. We're gonna go see it.
Right.
I mean, we're
Agreed.
gonna pay money for it. Although I didn't for Madam Web, but
No, you know what, the last, I mean, I went and saw the first Venom movie in the theaters, but Morbius, Venom 2, Madam Web, I didn't. I waited till they were on video.
Yeah, same.
yeah. But
'Cause,
did you pay for the video?
if you count paying for my well, I was going to say paying for my Netflix, but I don't pay for that.
Somebody does.
Somebody
They're still
does.
getting the
Right,
money.
right.
They're still getting the money.
Yeah,
Right.
somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you count me paying my Hulu subscription or my Disney Plus prescription or then yes, I did pay for it.
Yeah.
But
There's still residuals going to somebody for that stuff. So
I mean, I think I might have paid like $1.99 to rent Morbius to only find out that like if I had waited a week, I could have watched it for free on Netflix.
I waited till it was free.
I
so
should have.
so I again we are talking me. I do own Morbius.
Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I did buy. I'm sorry,
No,
Jerry. I
no,
did.
no. Sorry, I thought of something else while you were talking. Go
I
ahead.
did buy Morbius, but I do have to admit the first time I saw it was on a plane. On the so
Nice.
you could almost argue I did actually see that one for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't on the plane to watch a movie. So
Right.
I wasn't paying. Yeah. So
Right.
you could argue I did see it, although I did
Right.
end up, like I said, I did buy the
Right.
Blu-ray, so I do own it.
You know who I'd really like to see? Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've
I
always
mean,
liked
a
her.
lot of. I mean, I would still like to see a live action Miles Morales. Like a lot of the Into the Spider-Verse characters, I still kind of want to see live action.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I mean I think they were hinting at Miles Morales existing or being about to exist in a couple of the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, when they had Donald Glover playing his uncle,
The Prowler.
yeah, and then he got to play
Yeah,
the
the
Prowler
Prowler.
Right.
in the second Spider-Verse movie.
Yeah.
So
So,
there is still I think a build towards Miles Morales. I do think with the Young Avengers heading our way, and do you remember off the top of your head if Young Avengers is scheduled before or after Secret Wars?
Not off the top of my head.
I don't remember.
I'd have to look it up.
Because I think Secret Wars ultimately could be the thing that completely shakes up the MCU, and you could see a lot of characters just recast all over. Because then you're like, yeah, well, we got this younger guy to play somebody else now, and now he's the Punisher going forward instead of John Bernthal or
No, they better not.
John
Charlie
Bernthal's,
Cox, Charlie
great.
Cox and John Bernthal need to remain those two characters, Daredevil and Punisher, for as long as they can.
My favorite bits of Marvel TV. You know, I already said I love Daredevil, but my favorite bit of Marvel TV is episode 4 of season 2 of Daredevil, where Daredevil goes to rescue Punisher and they're like fighting their way out, and Punisher tells him the story of when he comes home. They're in that, like, he's up against that tombstone. They're just talking. That is one of the greatest pieces of comic book, like live action comic book adaptations. And I love every second of it, and their chemistry and just everything about it. It's so palpable. It's great. Fantastic.
I mean that was. I just thought of a character that I would never like to see make it to live action. Frankencastle, when they turned.
Let's not do that.
When they turned Punisher into Frankenstein for no apparent reason and completely killed that story, that book in general.
But what about, since you're talking about characters becoming other characters, what about when Punisher becomes the Ghost Rider?
Oh yeah, Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, you could do a whole version of Ghost Rider with all the various different Ghost Riders they've had.
I'd like to see a good Ghost Rider movie. I mean, I've enjoyed both of them, but let's face it.
You enjoyed Spirit of Vengeance?
I did, but they're not good. So
I enjoyed the first one.
The first one, I'll agree with you on that.
I know it's terrible, but I did enjoy
Spirit of Vengeance?
Oh yeah. No, it's not a good movie, like, at all. I know this. Objectively, it's a terrible movie. But, seeing Ghost Rider take a piss and fire, that's fun. So
yeah, but once I saw it in the trailer, that was...
Who cares? Yeah, I got you.
That was it, because there wasn't anything more to it than that.
All right. Well, I mean, we as nerds could continue this conversation and probably will continue this conversation.
Right. We'll keep talking after we stop recording.
So basically, I think the future for Marvel is back on the upswing. I other than the Eternals, and I say I didn't like the Eternals as much as I've liked the other Marvel stuff, but it wasn't a bad movie. It just wasn't. No. It wasn't as good as some of the other stuff. I still think there's payoffs that could turn it into a better movie.
Oh, but, yeah. There were definitely choices made that, Icarus didn't need to be a villain. He's like I mean, he's like the main Eternal, right? I mean, and then they just,
so, you know.
But that was also them almost trying to do kind of a Hyperion Sentry.
Right.
You know,
right.
Let's let the Superman of the group
be
the bad
go
guy.
Bad, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, there are things that we've had that haven't paid off just yet, and that doesn't mean we don't. It could be phase 6 or 7 before some of it pays off, and then we'll have to reframe everything. But at that point, who knows? All right, Jerry, what do you got going
Feige,
on?
That's who knows.
Yeah, it's the only one who knows, and I'm not even sure.
He
the
might
great
be
and powerful Feige.
I would like to see a Midnight Suns.
Midnight Suns would be so good.
Like they need to get on. They keep teasing it, and then they're like, "No, we're not gonna." And then, well, yeah, we might, and then, no. So,
I think
if you're not going to do that, bring in all your heroes into Secret Wars. Like every single hero that we've seen, just bring them all. Let's have a massive battle royale, I guess.
Yeah.
Once we get a Blade movie, maybe we'll get closer to the idea of a Midnight Suns. But
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jerry, what do you got going on over there at Totally Rad Christmas?
Oh man, I got a whole bunch of things coming up. So, of course, we talk about Christmas all year long, but not just any Christmas in the 80s. So, by the time this drops, an episode that you guys were on with Ninja Turtles will have dropped as well. I got the Raccoons, Princess Bride, the Glow Friends, Save Christmas, Quantum Leap, A Christmas Record, the Lollipop Dragon, the Great Christmas Race, and some other less obscure things like the Smurfs. So,
okay,
there's a lot of weird, but a lot of good too. So,
Laramie, what do we got going on? This might be the next episode I put out, but it might be one after that. But it's going to be soon.
So still within the month of August.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got we're wrapping up in the end of August is the end of our year, and it's become a tradition to do a really bad movie. And so Tim and Chad have joined me that we're going to tackle Jonah Hex. Probably, just to spoil this for anybody who doesn't know, who wants to know my opinion, probably the worst DC movie that has been made.
It's bad.
So yeah, got that coming, and then we'll start into our year 5 and some exciting stuff there. I mentioned Werewolf by Night earlier. That's going to be our Halloween movie this year.
Nice.
I know it's really kind of just a special, not a movie, but that's the one we're going to talk about. And then, got some other things coming up. Nicholas is going to join me and Tim for another bracket when we tackle the best movie of the 2000s. So,
I mean, I know what it won't be, but
something we might have mentioned already.
All right, I guess if you're Sony and you keep pumping out crap just because you don't want to lose your license, just remember, stupid never walks alone.
Comic books have been around for almost a century, and in the last 2 decades, we've finally gotten to see many of these characters brought to life in movies and on TV. On the Moving Panels podcast, we discuss movies and TV shows based on, inspired by, and adapted from the world of comic books. Join me and my guests as we discuss both the good and the bad from Marvel, DC, and even some of the lesser-known comic book companies. Learn what is and isn't from the comics, as well as our nerdy review of the movie or show. New episodes drop every Monday, and you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. So join us for Moving Panels, and I'll see you on the other side of the page.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and listen to an 80s Flick Flashback podcast once in a while, you could miss it. Do you love movies of a certain age? Do you miss the days of VHS tapes, VCRs, and the video rental stores? Does the thought of another 80s movie being remade seem inconceivable? My name is Tim Williams. I'm the creator and host of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. On each episode, I'm joined by guest co-host to discuss one of the many movies released in the 1980s. We share our first-time watch memories, our favorite scenes, and even learn some behind-the-scenes stories about the cast and crew along the way. New episodes are released every other Friday on your favorite podcasting platform. So make like a tree, get out of here, and go listen to an excellent episode of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. The ad is over. Go home. Go.